To most, a fleet of 2 icebreakers, 2 seaplane tenders, 2 tankers, a tactical command ship, and 2 Andromeda-class attack cargo ships is more than enough to support establishing an Antarctic research outpost. But for Operation High Jump, the most heavily armed naval task force ever sent to Antarctica, the United States also sent 2 Gearing-class destroyers, a Byrd-class submarine, and an Essex-class aircraft carrier to establish a research outpost. Did the United States government, under the guise of a research mission, send a veritable fleet of warships to uncover a secret Nazi remnant base in August of 1946? And does the verified discovery by Russian researchers of long-lost Nazi-based treasure hunter, or Schatzgraber, on the other side of the world prove that our greatest enemy was right under the snow this entire time? July 10th, 1945, 2 months after Germany's surrender. A fleet of U-boats arrives in Argentina, months after the other Nazi runaways had already fled Germany. The reason for their tardiness? An anonymous crewman tells Allied intelligence they'd taken a detour to the Antarctic South Pole, where top Nazi brass, including Adolf Hitler himself, are hiding in an expansive base beneath the ice. October 16th, 2016, 71 years, 5 months, and 9 days after Germany's surrender. Russian scientists uncover a long-lost Nazi weather station, codenamed Treasure Hunter, in the remote Alexandra Island in the Franz Josef Land archipelago of the North Pole. This base, thought to be fiction for over 70 years, contained over 500 documents, instruments, and artifacts of a secret Nazi detachment, perfectly preserved from the cold. Despite declaring that these items would be unveiled to the world, the Russians have still not disclosed any of their findings. Was this a wartime strategic stepping stone for the Axis advance into Russia and potentially the United States? Or was it part of a secret Nazi mission to bury themselves at both ends of the earth and locate relics of immense power, leading to discoveries so twisted that the United States would detonate a nuclear bomb just to bury it once and for all? Conspiracy theorists are no strangers to rumors about hidden Nazi bases and experiments. Still, the most chilling theories are those with roots in tangible evidence. In 1938, preparing for the looming economic devastation upon Germany of World War II, Hitler and his top advisors were searching for a supply of whale oil, a chief import which the country's candles, paint, and linoleum all depended on. At the same time, the Thule Society, Hitler's occult advisors, had allegedly poised Antarctica as the Nordic Atlantis, believing there to be an untapped paradise below the ice where the German people had sprung from. Could this Atlantis be the fabled Hollow Earth? This theory that there's an entire world beneath us was popularized by Edmund Halley in the 17th century. Hitler sent a veritable army of survivalists, scientists, and soldiers to scout for an answer to his nation's whale of a problem. Among them were the likes of hunters, trappers, zoologists, biologists, and botanists. What they found, or were allegedly sent to find all along, was a new world. The land was claimed as Neuschwabenland, after the ship the researchers embarked upon. It was a paradise, allegedly containing vast regions of deep ice caverns, as well as islands or pockets of warm and livable greenery. In one such pocket of inhabitability lay an idyllic paradise. It was named New Berchtesgaden, after Hitler's mountaintop castle in the Alps. On the other end of Earth's axis, a Nazi base was being established 620 miles from the North Pole. Its name? Schatzgraber, or Treasure Hunter. November 1942. The base becomes fully operational as Hitler begins his doomed campaign into Russia. Much like Neuschwabenland, this was allegedly established for whaling and meteorological research. But the name suggests something else, doesn't it? The treasure hunter was active for only a few short years, until 1944, when it was abandoned due to a viral outbreak of some kind, allegedly from eating polar bear meat. It lay dormant for over 70 years until it was unearthed in 2016 by Russian scientists. The Nazis seem to have been privy to something. In 1943, Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, the commander-in-chief of the German Navy, indicated as much to Colonel Howard A. Buckner and Captain Wilhelm Bernhardt. The German submarine fleet is proud of having built for the Führer in another part of the world a Shangri-La on land, an impregnable fortress. In 1944, Dönitz allegedly said the following to graduating naval cadets: "The German army will have to accomplish a great task in the future. The German Navy knows all hiding places in the oceans, and therefore it will be very easy to bring the Führer to a safe place should the necessity arise, and in which we will have the opportunity to work out his final plans." Dönitz allegedly also said, "The German submarine fleet has, even now, established an earthly paradise, an impregnable fortress for the Führer in whatever part of the world." Dönitz seems to have been quite certain, even proud, of some kind of impregnable fortress for the Nazis and their final plans, whatever they were. This comes from Israeli journalist and professor Michael Bar-Zohar's extensive interviews with the Avengers, a secret group of Jewish revengers who sought Nazi blood after World War II. It's worth noting that Hitler left command of the Nazi army in the final days of World War II to Dönitz as his last political act before allegedly committing suicide on April 29, 1945. If he went into hiding, as many believe, why did Hitler leave the reins of power to this man above all others? Don't go into hiding on us. Launch a modest expeditionary fleet to explore the like and subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. July 10th, 1945. Two U-boats, U-530 and U-977, surface at the Mar del Plata naval base in Argentina, where many high-ranking Nazis and affiliated personnel fled after losing the war. It wasn't uncommon to see Nazis in the area, the opposite really, but what was uncommon to many, including Allied special investigators, was what took them so long to get there. Rumors began swirling that the U-boats had taken a detour to Antarctica to drop off high-value cargo, including Adolf Hitler, Eva Braun, Martin Bormann, and other key members of Hitler's cabal. The captains of U-530 and U-977, Otto Wehrmath and Heinz Schäfer, were interrogated by intelligence agencies in London, Buenos Aires, and finally Washington. While the Allied investigators didn't necessarily believe Wehrmath and Schäfer, they did pay mind to a turned Nazi informant. The FBI referred to this source as credible in documents declassified in 2017. The anonymous informant told the FBI that Hitler was most certainly aboard U-530, and that the U-boats had, without a doubt, visited Antarctica before their arrival in Argentina. But even if investigators believed him, it didn't account for time. The U-boats couldn't have traveled to Antarctica through the particularly harsh summer climate and made it to Argentina, unless experimental technology cut their trip in half. It's believed the Nazis took advantage of Operation Sunrise, a once denied and now disavowed series of negotiations, where British and American governments pursued and possibly facilitated the exportation of Nazi officials to the Argentinian safe haven to fight the Soviets in the looming Cold War. In the FBI's declassified documents from 2017, the U-boats were said to have blown through United States, Brazilian, and British ships on their way to Argentina. One captain of a British ship was supposedly quoted in a Brazilian newspaper at the time as having said, "May God help me that I never again encounter such a force." So, did the Nazis make their secret trip to the Antarctic base before their arranged destination in Argentina? Harry Truman seemed to believe so. August 26, 1946, Operation High Jump. The United States embarks upon a massive mapping expedition into the Antarctic region, assembled under decorated Admiral Richard E. Byrd, a Medal of Honor recipient and one of the most decorated Navy men at the time. Byrd was especially renowned for his extensive mapping and knowledge of the Antarctic. The expedition was to be a 6 to 8 month journey for Admiral Byrd to continue to map and research the Antarctic as part of the US Navy's Antarctic Operations Project. But why would a simple geographic expedition in a post-war climate need an armada of 13 ships? Besides the flagship USS Mount Olympus and aircraft carrier USS Philippine Sea, with a total number of personnel reaching well over 4,000. After reaching the Antarctic, the half-a-year expedition was over in a matter of weeks. Upon returning, the personal and expedition logs of Byrd and his team were seized and classified. The full report of Operation High Jump was uncovered years later in 1957, but with a note from the Defense Technical Information Center that it contained a significant number of pages that could not be reproduced because of their legibility. Byrd was quoted at an international news junket upon his return as saying that he was concerned about the North and South poles, and that while he didn't want to frighten anyone unduly, it was a bitter reality that in the case of a new war, the United States would be attacked by flying objects, which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Then the trail runs cold until almost a decade later, when the US government would return to Antarctica during the Geophysical Year. The International Geophysical Year lasted from 1957 to 1958, at the height of the Cold War, and was a rare cooperative moment between the United States, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, France, Japan, Norway, Chile, Argentina, and even the USSR. Their goal? To investigate the last unexplored region on Earth, Antarctica, and to test the atmospheric effects of nuclear bombs. It's worth noting that the 1950s saw an explosive number of UFO sightings, including the infamous buzzing of Washington, D.C., which would go on to spawn the highly secretive government operation Project Blue Book. So, at the height of the Cold War, the US and Russia joined forces to test nuclear weapons in the Antarctic. Not long after, the regions were declared as protected by various international treaties, and in time, projects and excursions there would be outfitted more with optics and satellites than with warships and nuclear bombs. So did Hitler really escape to a secret Antarctic base? Did the Nazis' Iron Eagle truly soar from pole to pole? Or was this all just a case of confused tactics, fanaticism, and a fascination of nature? After all, what do we really know about a region that is still mostly unexplored?